Well, good morning, and it's a privilege to be here, and I must first thank the World Education Congress for giving us this opportunity, and then, I would also like to actually thank not only in terms, actually, all the speakers who are here and my dear friends, and it's a privilege to talk to you about the aspect of sustainability. So as we move forward, I just thought from the standpoint of building sustainability through education, from this standpoint, just before I got going, let me tell you what does Wadhwani Foundation do. We are a global philanthropic organization. We are working in 25 countries from last 2 decades. I myself have been in the education domain for 3 decades now. And the entire work which we do all across 25 countries is all education, either in skilling or in entrepreneurship or in MSMEs. So this is the domain which I come from. Now coming straight to the topic which we are talking about today. So from an aspect of sustainability through education and what we see all around, so there are key stakeholders in this game. Of course, primary is the learner. There is learner right at the center. Then we have industry. Then we have academia. Then we also have governments. And it will not be wrong to say today, technology has become another big stakeholder. Now, if you look at it in totality, when we look at it from sustainable standpoint, so whatever we talk about and whatever I think my earlier colleagues, my earlier co-speakers spoke about some fabulous examples about schools in terms of how the education is building up there, NEP, and absolutely a lot of insights came, and in fact, I was very glad to hear some points which I might be recapping a bit. So the key point is, whatever we do for the future, is it sustainable? Is it scalable? Is it replicable? And can it move the needle not only at the district level, but at the state level and at the national level, and then at a global level? So from that standpoint, I just thought I will limit my, my discussion with all of you into 2 areas. So I will first talk about the industry aspect of it. What can industry do to contribute towards, typically contributing towards sustainability, and what can be done on academia side and is being done on the academia side on ensuring that there is a complete sustainability. So let me first move to the industry side. Now we all know about industry. We have been hearing about Industry 4.0. We are talking about, on one side, the negative side is 70-75%. It will range anywhere. Industry would say the graduates are not employable. That's one part of the spectrum. On the other side, we are talking about Industry 4.0, new emerging job roles, entire lack of talent pool on that side. And of course, if you just match the two, the whole aspect is, there is a definite skill gap. If you look at another concept which the industry has been talking about is multi-skilling. Gone are the days when you can move with one skill and you can, sustain, but here is a need of multi-skilling. Now, when we talk about all these concepts, all these buzzwords, that's one part. How do we actually practically apply it in our education system so that this moves forward? Now, let me come very specifically to a question, which is what can industry do to ensure that there is complete sustainability through education? Now, the first part, industry has to play the role of a knowledge partner, and a very active knowledge partner. For example, as we speak, you are seeing what's happening all around in terms of there are jobs, major job roles getting absolutely extinct. They are just dying, and there are new jobs emerging. So absolutely in terms of it is the responsibility of industry to ensure that this is put back into the academia system much early, not at the time when they are getting placed, but much early in their life, so that the academia, government, and the entire resources start working differently. And that's the one big piece which is coming forward. In fact, I was at a conference in Manila where a statement was done about job roles like accountant, job roles like lawyer are challenged by technology. Now this just sparked a very big discussion. But the whole aspect is, I'm just returning from San Francisco, and first time actually went into Tesla factory and saw a driverless car, which actually is available today. So it is, things are moving, and things are moving at rapid speed. And now the world has become a village. It is like earlier, if it takes something like 20 years to come from let's say east to west, now it takes hardly months to come into this part. So technology is evolving. Another aspect from student standpoint, take retail, take education, fintech, edtech, everywhere this word called tech is getting added. That's the reason why I said that technology is a very big stakeholder when it comes to sustainability in the future. So one aspect is the knowledge partner, industry playing the role as a knowledge partner. Now the second aspect, very, very crucial, is the curriculum partner. Now I would just like to spend maybe a few seconds on this. The good examples across the world of the countries who have moved the needle to some extent, the basic premise is that the curriculum at the school is designed 30%, first 30% by the district, next 30% by state, and next 30% by national or global aspect. What does it do? In a very simple terms, if suppose a district like Kota is working on it in Rajasthan, definitely stone and the industry of stone will be in the curriculum in Rajasthan. If it is the other way around, if it is Maharashtra, maybe the textile, the handlooms, and this piece or the retail industry will definitely form the basis there. So what does it do? It moves from bottom to the top. So there are national level understanding, state level understanding, and district level understanding, due to which what happens is there is a big thing we talk about, that most of, let's say, the girl child movement from interiors doesn't happen to metros because of certain reasons. But by this approach, not only the industry grows, the learner understands, and they all contribute at district level, local, state level, and national level. So this is just one approach which I thought I wanted to share with all of you. And here is where is the, I'll just link with my earlier speakers who were talking about NEP. Let me give you a different perspective of NEP. And imagine that a curriculum is made like this. Now how can you make this curriculum without industry? So now take a step back. Let me give you an example. Imagine tomorrow the classroom setup completely changes. In other words, all 6 standard students, all the sections are in single room, and all the subject teachers are around them. Just imagine the situation. Now, imagine an example like two-wheeler in class 6 to an example like a 4-stroke engine in class 10. All the students in the class right there. History teacher talking about how it got evolved. Someone else talking about which brakes are important, what does a brake do, which brand and brake is important, how do you market, how do you sell, how do you position it. Now imagine the whole application happens in the classroom. So whether it is a geography teacher talking about where is which are the right places to put the industry for tires, or it's a physics teacher who's talking about the absolute mechanics of an engine. Now the whole aspect is this as an education system will completely change ourselves from what we are today to a complete application-based learning. And the application means right in class 6, student will understand that there is a need for people to market. There's a need for sales. There's a need for customer service. There's a need for ensuring that, okay, physics, chemistry, biology, everything, all these subjects get aligned in this kind of example. Now, while I'm speaking about it, I'm speaking more from the aspect of, because NEP does cover this, and there are now the biggest challenge. Which are the 5 themes which should be taught in a year in class 6? That's it. Maybe 3 themes, which accumulates all subjects together. And that same theme becomes better and better and better and better, and maybe by grade 10 and grade 12, it takes a very different shape. Because here is where you get to know maybe the students who love to be in the customer service side, maybe there's a different thing for them. There could be other set of students who are on sales side. Because these aspects of money, sales, customer centricity, all these aspects needs to be built in. So this is one aspect, but here coming back to the role of industry. Now, who will give the scenarios and who will give the case studies to the education system? That's where industry plays a fabulous role. If they come forward and get on to, if we are looking at a sustainable solution in terms of education. So this was one part I thought I must share with you. Now, this is one aspect. See, industry putting production labs in academic institutions is actually already happening. It can be more. That's a different way of looking at it. But can the production lab truly produce products which are sold in the market? Now, that's a different scenario. So that aspect that's the next aspect of the industry which we should move into. Okay, now just before I move into the last part on the industry side. Industry side, one more role industry can play is progression partner. So we talked about knowledge, we spoke about curriculum. Now let's talk about the progression partner. Today when a student gets into a job, the academia feels that our job is done. Industry feels now the person is here and it's survival of fittest. Now, is there a way by which industry, academia and the talent as a tripartite relationship can work on ensuring success of this talent for the first 2 years so that the talent can become sustainable? They can carry it forward. They are on a growth path. And this is another piece which I thought industry can play a role. So this was on the industry side. Now looking at the second aspect which I wanted to touch upon is the academia. Maybe it's a mix of academia, policy, government as well. So if you look at it today, and I must share this example, I've been to, as we run this philanthropy globally, if in India even today, if you ask a student in class 12 or 10, how many of you here, what is the future you're looking like? 95% of the hands will go up in terms of higher education or jobs. Maybe at some point, 95% of the hands will say, yeah, we are looking forward for a job. Now, it could be in any of the domain, all that part. I must give you this example from Mexico. If the same thing is asked to 100 students in a classroom, 99 hands will say, we want to start our own business. Maybe one hand will go up for a job. Now, I'm not trying to say this is better or that's better, but the combination of two can make a big difference. We played a very active role in the think tank in, the entrepreneurship curriculum, which was the entrepreneurship mindset, EMC curriculum, which was launched in Delhi. The big difference it made was students who would typically bunk classes would come into because this happened to be the very first session of the day. Very first session starting at 7:30 to 8 is entrepreneurial mindset. And one full year, 7 standard students were only looking at what are the gaps which you come through when you come to school. And I'm talking about government schools. So very, these are the students who actually stay on midday meals. Now the gaps which they came up with and the solution which they came up with by the time 11th and 12th standard, it completely changed. We never thought that a group of 5 girls who started just a scooty air filling station under a tree in 3 years' time are part of Mahindra Electrics. So obviously the whole aspect, otherwise it's a girl into automobile. It's a very different kind of world on that side. So these are those examples coming from so entrepreneurship and job and career both are together. That's one part. Second part which I just like to touch upon is we have been talking about pedagogy and my dear colleague earlier spoke about the aspect of pedagogy and the innovations around this. And in fact now the models which should emerge are very it has to be collaborative, interactive. Take an example. We are talking about, and this is happening even in India, the whole heutagogy concept which is now coming forward, which is the learner defines what do I want to learn, learner defines how do I want to learn, and learner defines how do I want to be evaluated. You want to take a written test, go ahead. But I'm not the guy for written test, you can ask me 10 questions verbally, fair enough. Or you please give me an exercise, I'll go out and do it in 3 days and come back to you. So the learner-centric heutagogy model, which completely changes, it doesn't really change the focus from that way. The trainer becomes actually a person who is a great enabler of resources, enabler of tools, enabler of knowledge. But the student defines this aspect. Now, of course, the aspect is, can student play a role in curriculum? Now, by the way, I'll give you a small example. A small test was done in PSSCIV Bhopal, and once the students were invited to be making the curriculum, their first reaction was there should be some time where nothing is defined. It's flexible. And that time should only be for latest thing to be learned. Because otherwise in curriculum it never comes. So the whole aspect of how can student as a learner play a role in curriculum definition and then play a role on how do they want to learn, what do they want to learn, and how do they want to be assessed, completely changes the dynamics. Trainer has to be a very different facilitator, who knows what resources to be made available. So this is the second part on heutagogy, which is the next form of pedagogy models, from andragogy moving to heutagogy, which is the third part. And last but not the least, I should touch upon just before I close, is to do with this whole dignity of labor issue. We still have not questioned why there is no PhD in plumbing, why there is no PhD in carpenting, whereas these things are evolving. It's not that, it is wrong to, even today, if a son says that I want to be a carpenter, you know how father would react. But the whole aspect is this aspect, maybe because of industry has to play a role there in terms of positioning them with growth paths. Actually, the real problem is the growth paths being limited in many of these areas. So when it comes to dignity of labor, I would also say that, of course, it cannot be just resolved by, only industry, but it's a larger problem. There are things which should be policy driven from the government, from academia, from student and industry to pull it all together. So with this, I wanted to touch upon these two pieces in terms of role of industry, and the second one in terms of the role of academia. And when I spoke about academia, I was talking about the student. One last piece before I close. See the student part, the learner part. Now, we have seen through pandemic, student has understood online piece, but is online the solution? No. Hybrid is the way to move forward. Now, adaptive learning measures, depending on your behavior and patterns of learning, what is the learning pattern for you? It would differ from individual to individual. I can pick up things textually very fast by reading, but maybe there's someone else who just want to hear it. They don't want textual, or a combination of two. Which kind of learning pattern is important? And with artificial intelligence and technology around this, if this can, in future, the curriculum, the learning and application, if it is based on your learning pattern and your understanding pattern, this can make a big revolution in the education industry. So with this, I come to the close of my session. Thank you so much for hearing me. Thank you. Any questions? You're most welcome. I don't know, I still have a minute. Yeah. Yes, please.
Vinod Sharma, I've come from Kanpur, Dr. Gaurhari Singhania Institute of Management. You said by curriculum, in fact, the curriculum should have employability skills.
Exactly.
Should be a part of a curriculum actually.
Absolutely.
What we come to that at a very later stage.
Yeah.
And that has not been covered even in the graduation also.
Yeah.
Suddenly the student finds, अब मुझे करना क्या है? No, exactly. That is a question mark which we face it.
Absolutely. No, in fact, you're on dot, sir. I think employability skills, even today in CBSE, is only a vocational subject along with all vocational streams. So not even 10% of the schools, are covered in that part. But absolutely on dot, sir. You are very right. But as NEP comes in, this is the one big shift on moving this to right, not only to the 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, where it is today, but also to the 6th, starting from 5th, and there's a debate on 5th or 6th. But the point is, even this portion of employability skills and entrepreneurship piece should come right there. You look at industry. Industry was earlier looking at problem-solving skill. Now they have started talking about complex problem-solving skills. And of late they're talking about, can you give us an individual who has an entrepreneurial mindset? And if you ask them, what do you mean by this? You need a person who can be an entrepreneur tomorrow? No. but a person who is not afraid to try and fail, doesn't matter. Let him try and fail rather than getting into the structured process. But sir, absolutely on dot, absolutely. Thank you. You raised this point. Yes, please. Okay.
Hello, I am Professor Bhagwat from Indira College of Engineering, Pune,
Yes.
who is the sponsor of this Congress also.
Yes.
Sir, nice highlights on the policies and the skill development through education. But here what problem we are facing, we have been governed by the university which is affiliated, then governed by the Director of Technical Education, then AICTE,
Yes.
and then NAC. So every time their rules are different. Still the student will understand, enter and complete. We have to fulfill their rules. So in fulfilling that administrative, academics is apart and industry's demand is apart.
Yeah.
So what university says? University says you have to complete this in this timetable.
Yes.
AICTE says something, you should have NRF ranking and NBA grading. So all this is administrative stuff.
Yeah.
So instead of that, industry is not expecting that. Industry is expecting the results. So our administrative or our governing system is like that. Different bodies are coming. They are not asking. So we are affiliated to university. Why AICTE and other bodies are asking to university to change their curriculum? Because we have to follow the university curriculum. And directly NAC or other bodies asking to the college.
Yes.
So which is going to students as well as faculty fraternity, it's difficult to satisfy all.
Absolutely.
And again, industry is demanding something else.
Exactly.
So what could be the solution for this?
Yeah,
We must, on this Congress platform, we must have some thinking or
debate on
some
this.
brainstorming on this.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Only one small example I just want to give you. This is from Uttarakhand. Now, Uttarakhand produces a kind of fruit in these times, which is used for making jam, right? The jam, butter jam, the jam which we use. But that production of the fruit is so much that another 2 months, 3 months from now, these people can't store it in houses. They just dump it on the roads to go because you can't put it on truck as well. And the problem is, if the government looks at just setting up food processing units in every 10 kilometers or 15 kilometers, this problem is solved. You have employment, you have industry, you have problem right there. But sir, totally with you, it requires a very larger discussion. But thank you so much and thanks once again. All the best. Thank you.